Hello and welcome to Pisces Moon Astrology. I'm your astrologer, Kate Leonard, and I'm excited to explore the stars with you. Hi everyone, welcome to the end of 2025. And yes, I'm doing things a little bit differently, and let me explain. I'm going to be doing things differently for a little bit. So first, rather than doing the week by weeks through the end of the year, I thought what I would do instead is some preview of coming attractions. I want to give you guys some heads up about some of the main transits that are coming in 2026 because we are in for a very, very big year. It's really one of those years where we're going to look back and realize that it was sort of the beginning of a new era for us. I know right now my calendar is filled with clients wanting to do their year ahead readings. If you haven't booked yours, get it booked now while I still have my old prices. But anyway, I thought, well, let's just do that. Let's spend the rest of December going through some of the really, really major events. We've got the Neptune Saturn conjunction. The nodes are going to change signs, which means the eclipses are changing signs. There is all kind of crazy going on. And it's better to be kind of prepared, right? It's better to know what's coming up so that you're not just blindsided by it all. The other announcement I have is that I've put my Substack on hold until the first of the year. Okay, so thank you for being here. I hope that this content is going to be helpful for you. Yeah, so thank you. Please do all the things. If you haven't already gone in and given me a 5-star rating, please do, and share the podcast. That would be the greatest holiday gift you could give to me. And yeah, with all of that said, let's get into it. So what I thought I would start with is the thing that astrologers have been studying and looking at and debating and all the stuff for the last couple of years. And that is the Saturn-Neptune conjunction in Aries. This Neptune-Saturn energy that I'm talking about is going to be with us all year long. It's going to change and morph because of aspects that it's going to make to other planets and things like that. But it's going to be with us for the whole year and even moving forward. It is a very big deal. I've touched on it a lot this year. So while it is a very big deal, we've actually been sort of dealing with this energy quite a bit because Saturn and Neptune were already in Aries earlier in the year. They retrograded back into Pisces, and now early in 2026, they're getting ready to go back into Aries where they'll stay until they move on, right? So when they were in Aries before, they were close. They were really close together. It's almost like in our personal lives, it might as well have been the conjunction. If you'll recall, I've been talking about the need to dissolve boundaries that aren't working for us anymore, tearing down the structures that are just old, part of the status quo, only existing because, I don't know, because they've always existed or whatever, right? Look at your house. Where's Aries? It could be old religious structures, family dynamics, things in your romantic relationship, with your art. It could be in any house with yourself. It could be time that, if Aries is your first house, and I happen to know a lot of Aries first house people, this is going to be a you revamp because it's really about tearing down or dissolving. Neptune dissolves. He doesn't quite tear things down. But it's allowing to dissolve the things, the structures, the old ways that just don't serve us anymore. But Saturn is right there, and Saturn is all about, oh, heck no. I don't want to tear anything down. I'm all about building structure. I protect the old ways. I represent the status quo. So it's a really complicated time. On the world stage, I am not primarily a mundane astrologer, which is what we call the branch of astrology that deals with like politics and that sort of thing. But I will just say that this was connected to the Civil War, like really directly connected. And if we look around, it's a little bit problematic, disturbing, worrisome, you pick a word. So anyway, let's get into the specifics of this. On January 26th, Neptune is going to enter Aries. He initially was there from March 30th to October 22nd, and then he went back into Pisces, and now January 26th, he comes into Aries again. He does not leave until March 23rd, 2039. And as you all know, I do not like Neptune. In this position, I have very conflicted feelings about it. Neptune is the planet of dreams and compassion and spirituality to some extent. And that's why everybody's always like, Kate, why don't you like Neptune? Because he's also illusion, delusion, lies, cloudy thinking, cloudy vision. It's just really hard to be clear about anything when Neptune is involved. In Pisces, it wasn't so bad. He's the modern ruler. Please, everybody remember that Jupiter is the real ruler, but he's the modern ruler of Pisces. He's the god of the sea, right? And Pisces is the ocean. So we've had a sort of better run with Neptune for a while, but Aries is fire. And that's a whole different thing. So let me give you the good side. And again, this is just the Neptune piece. The good side is we might have great ambition and great fiery energy behind our dreams, those things that we want for ourselves, for the world, for our lives, our imagination, all of that. We're going to act boldly and courageously. That's Aries. And we're going to fight for our dreams. Aries is ruled by Mars, the warrior god. So this willingness and this ability to fight for our dreams, fight for our beliefs, fight for our spirituality, all of those kinds of things are going to be up. And that is the really good bit that we're going to have when Neptune is in Aries. And remember, this is a very long transit all the way to 2039. This is a big, giant deal, and it's once in a lifetime that we're going to have the exact configurations that we're getting the beginning of 2026. But Neptune doesn't allow us to see things clearly. It's like we're underwater, right? So it's like, yes, I'll fight for my dreams, but I may not even see my own dreams very clearly. Does that make sense? I know that sounds sort of contradictory, but it's like I may be fighting for things that I'm a little foggy on, that I need to fight for this belief, but I'm not even seeing the situation as clearly as I wish I were, given that I'm going in guns a-blazing. So it's an interesting time. There's great potential, but there's also the chance that things are going to get really murky in really hot ways. Aries, right? So how do we deal with this? It is going to be really important to stay grounded and try to be sure that we're seeing things clearly before we start the full-on battle. Now, that's one of the ways that Saturn coming into the picture actually could be helpful. So Saturn is going to come into Aries and immediately go into a conjunction with Neptune. That happens on February 13th. So isn't Valentine's Day going to be something? Now, he's been in Aries before already this year. He went in on May 24th and was there through September 1st. So you might think back to that period of time. What were the themes coming up for you? Because that was like preview of coming attractions. Neptune and Saturn were very close to each other. I think within 1 degree. They weren't quite in an exact conjunction, but darn it, that is close enough for me. So whatever was going on through the middle of 2025, kind of look at those themes. They're back up. Saturn will stay until April 12th, 2028. Okay, so he's got about a 2.5 year transit. Also, oh my gosh, you guys, everybody wants to know about their Saturn returns. Saturn return is when transiting Saturn comes back around to the exact position of your birth Saturn, right? It happens about every 29-ish years, and it marks major life changes. But people forget that there's not just a Saturn return. There's a Saturn square and a Saturn opposition, and then the final Saturn square before the next Saturn return. This is a really big deal Saturn going on in Aries. So look to see where Saturn is in your natal chart and see what angle it's making. If you don't know how to do that, please book an appointment because you will get so much more out of this if you really understand your natal chart. But anyway, those squares and oppositions, if you're going to be in one of those, this is going to hit you big time, big time. And guess who's in a Saturn square year? Oh, that would be me. Yes. Oh my gosh. Can I just skip 2026 for real? Saturn is weak in Aries. Saturn is Earth. He's all about being grounded and building, taking things slow. And Aries is impulsive. He's direct action. He wants to go now. It's just a whole different vibe, a whole different energy. So Saturn's in his fall. And yeah, he's just not that happy. So slow Saturn going into fast Aries is really going to try to almost force us to develop a kind of wisdom. We're going to have circumstances going on saying, go, 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 do it, do it, do it. You got to do this thing, make it happen, whatever. And Saturn is having none of that. And it can be a really uncomfortable kind of period. And remember, this is 2 years. We're not even close to being done with this energy yet. So if we fight it, I tell everyone when they come to me for their Saturn returns, everyone's terrified of them, right? And I tell everyone, they're only awful if Saturn has to kick your butt. If you lean into the lessons, Saturn is wise. He's the wisdom of age and experience. So this transit, I really think, is going to be sort of forcing us, or yeah, I would like to put it more gently, but I think kind of forcing us to develop a kind of wisdom and that sort of discipline to be able to slow down even when circumstances are pushing us to sort of barrel ahead. Does that make sense? Now let's get to what I'm actually talking about, which is the Saturn conjunction with Neptune, which is going exact on February 20th. Oh my goodness, this is once in a lifetime. It's a kind of reset that is coming. These are outer planets, which means they're slow to act on us. They stay in signs for a long time because they need time to really accomplish their jobs there. So this conjunction really has to do with dissolving structures that were built on illusion. Does that make sense? So Neptune dissolves. Neptune's all about illusion, delusion, all of that kind of stuff. Saturn is about structures. So we put those together, and it is going to be time when we may get very dramatic messages about what parts of our lives were just built on something that's not real. that's flimsy, that was some kind of dream or fantasy that just didn't have the substance under it to hold it up. I remember when I was a kid in Sunday school, there was this song about the wise man builds his house upon the rocks and the foolish man builds his house upon the sand. That's what this is. Sorry to get all churchy with you guys, but that just came up. That's really what this is. Those of us who built the castles in the sky, the castles in the sand, wherever you want to put your castle that's not on firm foundation, this is going to be a period 2026 and 2027, I have to say, but I think it's going to be super strong this year. This is going to be a time when those castles got to fall down. So the good thing is it allows us to build a new dream, right? If we get the wisdom, if we develop that wisdom, this is going to allow us to dream a new dream and build a new reality. And if we are developing the wisdom that we need so that this dream and this reality and this structure are good, right? Are supportive and nurturing and protective. Aries, think words like protective, strong, safe. All of those kinds of words will be really important this year, right? Are you building structures around you that protect you and keep you well? But there's something in this transit that I think is going to hit a lot of us hard. And it's kind of like for these new dreams to be born and these new structures to be built, we have to kill some old ones. There's a little bit of the dream destroyer, the dream annihilator. It's Aries, right? There's a little bit of that going on here, old dreams that you believed in once and maybe still do. See, that's the thing. Maybe still do. Look back at earlier 2025, the whole middle of 2025. What kinds of issues were up? Was it your art, fifth house kinds of issues? You may have to let go of some dream and start a new one. And the good thing is you get to start a new one. But I think, honestly, that's going to happen later in the year. And there are all kind of reasons for this, which I'll go into in future episodes. But this initial conjunction on February 20th, I think is going to herald in the difficult part, right? I think it's going to bring in the part where we're having to let go of things, let things dissolve. And remember, with Neptune involved, these are our dreams, our fantasies, that kind of thing. It can be a not so pleasant time. And so what we need to remember, and this is the message, we need to remember that it's not for nothing. Think of the Civil War, okay? That was the last time we had this. Think of the Civil War. And I mean, it was horrible, right? It was horrible. And yet, look at the good that came from it after, well after, when rebuilding started. That's what I'm talking about. It's like breaking down some stuff that we've believed in and eventually rebuilding something better based on a new dream and a new vision and in a new kind of energy, a new kind of mood as well, right? Because this has all this Aries warrior stuff behind it. So there's very much this sense of strength. Yeah, I think it's going to be good. I just don't think it's going to be easy getting to it. In fact, I would go so far as to say I know it's going to be good, and I know it's not going to be easy getting to it. Now, I will let you know, not all signs are affected equally, but if you've got sun, moon, or rising in Aries, you are dealing with this just smack on top of your head. Yeah, it's big time for you. The other signs that are going to get hit hardest are the ones that are square and opposing to Aries. So that is Libra, Capricorn, and Cancer. All right. The other sign that's going to get hit pretty hard now that I think about it, although maybe not as hard as those that I just mentioned, but Aquarius is also ruled by Saturn. And if you have sun, moon, or rising in Aquarius, it's probably going to get you too. Now, is it going to be easy for the other signs? There aren't that many left, but is it going to be easy for them? No, I am not saying that at all. No, I'm not. But I do think Aries, Cancer, Libra, Capricorn are going to feel it the most. Of those, I think it's going to be Aries. And Aquarius, I think, comes in pretty close to those. So remember, grounding. Grounding. Get into your spiritual center. Neptune's there. Neptune's at least good for that, right? Don't come out guns blazing before you're pretty sure that you've got a clear idea of what you're blazing them at. Yeah, I think just wisdom, groundedness, those are the kinds of things that are going to get us through, and we do get through, and we do get to a good, new, important place. It's gonna take a minute. So I hope that this was helpful. I'm going to do another one because, like I said, we've got eclipses changing. We've got an early preview eclipse of the next cycle. We've got the nodes changing signs. That means fate and destiny is moving to a newer area of our lives. There's all kind of stuff going on. I'll talk to you about as much of it as I can before we get to January 1st. And then I will probably go back to the weekly. We'll see. I'm actually putting a little bit of thought into how I want to structure the podcast. So if you have any ideas, things you'd like to hear from me, please reach out and let me know. All of my links and stuff are in the show notes. If you go to the webpage and just click contact me, that's just my email. So feel free to reach out. And yeah, it's going to be a big, really important year. With all of that said, go out and seize the energies of the stars. This is my wish for you always, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.